My name's Jordan Simon Fleming. I am the CEO of smrtPhone, and I'm delighted to welcome everybody to this webinar today, which is really launching our integration with Forefront. And on the webinar with me tonight is Don Costa. Don, for those of you who don't know, maybe coming in from the smrtPhone side, Don is a real estate investor. He's an educator. He's a podcast host. I can't speak tonight. And of course, he's also the CEO of Forefront. So the agenda tonight is we are going to dive in. We've been joined tonight by Maria from the smrtPhone customer success team, and we're going to dive into a little demonstration of smrtPhone in action with Forefront. Then I'm going to give a bit more of a talk about smrtPhone and its capabilities and how it's really been built, and a lot of functionality has been built for the real estate investor community. I'm going to pass it over to Don after that, where he's going to dive a little into Forefront and his plans for that and how Forefront is designed to help real estate investors. And then finally, we'll do a little bit of chat about the integration itself and how we work together, how we've got plans to keep expanding that, and of course, answer any questions you have. Let's dive in. Maria, welcome. Thank you for joining us. If you wouldn't mind sharing your screen, we'll pass it over to you and you can give us a little demonstration.
Okay. All right. Well, welcome guys for the demonstration of how smrtPhone works inside Forefront. So I'm going to start sharing my screen and then show you how it really works inside the Forefront CRM. So first is, of course, some of you are familiar with how smrtPhone looks like. So this is going to be your dashboard, and it has a full integration with Forefront CRM. So we connected the pipeline, and with the comms inside Forefront is where all the logs are shown. So here, let's say this is the regular dialer of smrtPhone. So first is you can dial through here. Since we have a full integration with Forefront, all the contacts or all the people from your pipeline will show here. So let's say I'm going to start calling Lauren Kent. So I can start calling through the regular dialer. I have the option to make a phone call here or send a text message. And then next is, of course, one of the important feature of smrtPhone is we do have the click-to-call Chrome extension. You need to make sure that it is added in your browser and pinned on the top of your Chrome browser. So what it does is it makes your whole browser a phone system and allows you to call inside Forefront. But first, you need to make sure that inside Forefront, your one-click calling is properly set up. So you need to log into Forefront, go to your account profile, and then make sure that you scroll down to one-click calling and enable one-click calling on this part. Now, once you have that all set up or enabled, you'd be able to call inside Forefront. So let me show you how it looks like first inside the regular dialer. So let's say I want to call this person. I'm going to go click dial. I'll have all the functionality in here. I can put on my note. After the conversation, I can still continue the note, finalize call, and then you can choose from your, you can choose a call status. You also have the option to send an SMS, send a message, and then it will all be recorded inside the Forefront comms. So as you can see, the last person that I called today is Lauren Kent. If I click on that record, it will show that actual note that I sent or that I made during the phone call, as well as for the outbound call. I can listen to the recording inside Forefront. And then you even have the option to download or play back by speed. So those are the options that you will see inside the Forefront CRM. Now, if you are inside the CRM, you can go directly to the pipeline, look for someone that you want to call. Once you have the click-to-call Chrome extension or the one-click calling enabled inside Forefront, you'd be able to see these options. So you have the call button here. So once you click on that one, it will open the Chrome extension. You'll have this pop up here. You can click on the Chrome extension, type in your note, finalize call, select a call disposition or call status. And then you'll have the option to send an SMS as well. And then from here, the last person that I call will still show on the comms. So as you can see, this is the last person that I call using the one-click calling or the click to call. And then it will show you this note as well. So those are the highlights that you can do inside smartphone and how it works or how it connects inside Forefront.
Maria, thank you so much for showing us around. I appreciate that very much. As you can see from Maria's demonstration, one of the most important things about smartphone and really one of the core ideas we had when we built it is that we want to deeply integrate with our CRM partners. And we were really excited to begin the integration with Forefront because we knew it was a great opportunity to fully integrate, not just with the system, but inside their user experience. And another thing I just wanted to kind of talk a bit about in terms of the smartphone element is that smartphone really, real estate investors are one of our core constituents. They're one of our larger customer bases. And because of that, we develop a lot of functionality for the real estate investor market. So within smartphone, not only do you have the standard smartphone phone system, which gives you your core communications, your phone calls, inbound, outbound, text messages, voicemails, that sort of thing, as well as a fully comprehensive mobile app, which lets you do all of the phone calls, text messages, and everything on the go, fully linked to Forefront. We also have Smartphone Pro, which is a more advanced call center that you may want to use if you've got multiple agents and you work maybe in multiple markets, because when you level up with Smartphone Pro, you get things like geo-caller ID matching, which allows you to, the system will match area codes as you're dialing without the need to manually change numbers. It gives you opportunities like call monitoring, where you're able to listen into your agents. You're able to listen, you're able to whisper instructions to them, you're able to barge into the call. That's hugely useful if you're training new agents, or if you've got if you're doing some quality checks of your agents. And you also have some more advanced functionalities like the ability to add multiple people to a call. And a way that I've seen that work really well for investors is when you've got, maybe you've got an outside VA doing some calling, cold calling or kind of follow-ups, and they get a hot lead on the line. Well, you don't want them to set an appointment with your inside salespeople. You don't want to let that person off the phone. And so if you've got Smartphone Pro, your agent is able to put that hot lead on hold, dial out into maybe your inside sales or an acquisition specialist inside the team, bring them inside smartphone, tell them a bit about the lead, connect that call inside smartphone, and then they can leave and let those two carry on, and everything is fully logged. The second part that I just wanted to talk before I hand over to Dawn and talk more about the Forefront side is that we've also got Smart Dialer inside of smartphone, which is a 1 to 4 line power dialer. And it's fully integrated as well with Forefront, which means that you can bring in lists, you can upload lists into smartphone directly. And then when you've got a lead that is converted or is verified, you can push them straight into Forefront, which means that you are able to keep your Forefront CRM clean, but use the power of a 4-line, multi-line dialer to get through as many calls as you can and try and qualify as many prospects as you can as well. And we are constantly adding more and more features in conversation with people like Dawn and Forefront and our integration partners, where we learn from our customers. In fact, we just had a Q&A with our customer base 2 days ago where we got to get feedback and ideas of things they'd love to see executed. And we build out functionality inside of smartphone based on feedback, both from people like Don and Forefront and from customers. So it's your opportunity to have a real impact into kind of designing the phone system of your dreams. So smartphones got a lot of scalability for you, and it's also a very cost-effective way of getting a fully integrated communications platform into Forefront. That's my sales pitch of what smartphone's all about and sort of the ways we help investors now. I'm going to turn it over to Don so he can dive a little more into Forefront itself and his plans for taking that forward.
Yeah, I just want to say something about smartphone first before I do that. We actually became a customer of smartphone in 2018. I believe it was around January 2018 or the end of 2017. And one of the reasons we did is because, and at the time, smartphone was a newer, if I remember correctly, it was kind of a newer, company. We were having challenges with the competitor and the competitor's call quality. And when we searched to try to find something that would help us with call quality, smartphone became the obvious choice. And when you're trying to have conversations with sellers, you need to be able to have that call quality be there, so you're not stepping on each other and talking over each other and that kind of thing. So we ended up switching to smartphone in 2018. In 2018, I ended up taking my marketing to a whole nother level. We sent out 1.2 million postcards in 2018, and we were able to do split testing and so many really cool things with the smartphone system. And being able to track our marketing and keep track of what was working and what wasn't working, and be able to go back and pull data to see, basically where our deals were coming from. And we were able to redeploy our marketing dollars in 2019 from the data we gained in 2018. And smartphone was a huge component to making sure that we understood our numbers. And so it's been an integrated part of our company since 2018. And it's been one of the main tools that we've used. So when I came into Forefront in the beginning of this year and became part of the Forefront family, smartphone was just the obvious choice, as a company that we wanted to be in line with, and a system that we wanted to utilize as a tool for real estate investors within the Forefront community. So I just want to give a huge shout out to the smartphone team and the work they've done to help this partnership come along and become what it is. I know there's always going to be work moving forward. I'm learning fastly in tech that nothing is ever perfect. It's always a work in progress, but the smartphone team has been exceptional when it comes to making sure that things come together the way they're supposed to. So I want to show my appreciation to you guys for that. When it comes to Forefront, I became part of the Forefront family in January of 2023, this last year. So it hasn't even been a year yet. And I took over ownership of Forefront, and I did it because it was something that I believed in as a product. The way the product is set up and designed is set up to basically be your whiteboard, that you are able to see what your process is in real time when it comes to your leads and your lead flow. So, and unlike some of the other systems out there that can be modified to work for real estate investors, but be clunky and a little hard to navigate, Forefront's one of those tools that is, easy to navigate, easy to operate, and it makes it very visual. And I'm a very visual person when it comes to where things are happening in your system. So Forefront as a tool, we're always working on the back end to make it better, but as a tool, I feel like it's the best CRM out there. It's one of the easiest CRMs to use. And ultimately, at the end of the day, we're only going to make it better. Some of the cool things we've done recently, while we've been working on the partnership with Smartphone in tandem, we've added comping to the system. You can actually comp within the Forefront system. So when you're on a call, you get a call in on your smartphone system, and you're on a call talking to a seller, you can actually in real time comp that property while you're talking to the seller. We have property history reports. You can actually real time look at the transaction history on a property to see, is this something they just bought recently? Have they owned it for a lot of years? What's the loan information on the property? So you can actually make decisions in real time while you're on a call. And we have hot lead indicators as well. Does it have a tax lien? Is it a bankruptcy? Is there something on that property that indicates that there's some underlying motivation that maybe the seller's not telling you? So We have a lot of really cool features that in the system and a lot of really, really cool features coming. And I'm excited about this partnership and this relationship. And just ultimately our goal, I think, and I know that Jordan will back me up here, is we want to make it so easy for you guys to make money with what we have to offer you. That it's almost autopilot, that you can put a team in place to do it for you, that you can put systems and processes in place to make your life easier, and that ultimately you can just create a money-making machine and sit back and watch the money come in.
I do like the term money-making machine and sitting back to watch money come in. Absolutely. Now, Don, just, in terms of one of the things I'm really excited about the integration with Forefront is, and, particularly kind of because of your background itself, one of the things, and I speak as someone who runs a software company. So, but one of the things about technology is there's sometimes a tendency to focus more on the clever technology than on the use case and the real world. And I think smartphone is an example of that doesn't suffer from that because we listen so much to our customers. And I think Forefront, particularly now that you've joined the family and your team with that much real estate investing experience and educating experience, and I think you're going to bring a really real world understanding to a CRM system like Forefront. Can you tell us a little bit about how the experience, not just as an investor, but as an educator, kind of informs what you're able to see in the market and how you can translate it in the future to Forefront?
Absolutely. So I think one of the biggest challenges with first and foremost, not all software companies, but some software companies, they try to create a product to fill a need, and they've never been operated in a user's perspective. So the user interface is built from what they think is the obvious choice and not within the reality of what a user is going to be facing. And so Forefront, from its inception, designed by Danny Johnson, who is an incredible individual, has designed Forefront to really operate from a user standpoint. Danny was and is a real estate investor. So it has that aspect of it. And then going into, just from an operations standpoint, and, I've been in there, playing around with it and doing deals with it and stuff like that myself. And just like what's complicated and what's not complicated, like where can we streamline this and cut that out so we can make your life easier, is been always the process that I've been looking at from the moment I stepped in. What can get your lead from the phone call to the close, and not cause brain damage is really what we want to do, and make it obvious from a business owner standpoint. If you're starting to grow a team, how to manage that team and look at that team. So there's things that we're looking to integrate. One of the things, because I've been doing real estate investing for 20 years, I've operated high volume teams, I've operated small teams, and looking at from the coaching standpoint as well, is we're going to make sure that while we want to make sure there's bells and whistles in there that excite the user, we're going to make sure that Forefront does what the user needs and not what they always think they want, if that makes sense. And sometimes there's a disconnect there with what you think you want may not always be the best thing to have in your business. And so we're going to find that balance of what gets you excited that you want, but what actually gets things to the finish line for you. And I think that discipline, the desire to make sure we meet the customer's needs, the desire to make sure we make the simplest process to make you money, and then the desire to make sure that we're disciplined and not just trying to please everybody, is going to be what's going to create a great product at the end of the day. And I think everybody will see that, and a lot of people do. So,
absolutely, and it's funny, this idea of what people want, and one of our biggest tenets in smartphone is listening to the customer. And listen to the customer, whether it's live on the QA, which we do every month, or an open QA for anybody who wants to come in and speak directly to me and Ellen and a number of our team that come in. But that informs our development in a big way. And I'm going to give you 2 examples of things that are coming up right now that come directly from listening to what our real estate in particular customers want. And there's 2 features that are going into beta right now that I think are a great example of this. Number one, we are as of very, very soon, going to be integrating full video calling into smartphone and the mobile app. And let me explain why we did this, because, you know, everybody's like, oh, come on, you know, Zoom, are you trying to replace Zoom? No, here's why, because we listened to the investors, and I was at a conference a few months ago and I talked to a bunch of people. And one of the things we talked about was, what if you could be on a call with a seller? You know, you've got them on the line and they're at the property, and you could just say, hey, do you want to switch? Can we just go to video and you can show me? And you inside your mobile app, you're on the phone, you're in your car, you're hopefully stopped because clearly you're not allowed to call when you're driving. But you know, you do that and you can switch to video seamlessly. It sends them a text message. They click a link, nothing to download. They pop on a video call with you. And with the pro version of video calling, when it comes out of beta, that call video will be able to be recorded and in your CRM associated with your lead seconds after it's done. And that came from talking to investors and saying, have you ever been able to do something like that? Jesus, no, we've only ever been able to call. That would be amazing. And the second thing that's coming out and going into beta right now is we have heard time and time again from investors the challenges they have with communicating to their precious buyer list, right? They've spent all this time developing a really good buyer list, but then they're trying to get the properties they have to them easily. And of course, with compliance and with challenges around things like that, it becomes a problem. Well, with smartphone, we are launching a beta product called Broadcast, which is actually going to let you bring your buyers into smartphone, your buyer lists into smartphone, track consent, opt-in consent, so that it is golden locked solid. And then you'll be able to, in an A2P compliant way, send bulk messages to your buyers about properties you have to sell. Now, that's something that has been a hot topic for years, but nobody could, you know, it's always been a problem with around compliance. We've worked really hard to do this because we've got investors clamoring after it and saying, how can we do that? And I think it's a great example of how both companies listen to people and are building things that people want.
100%. And that falls in line, because I know that the two things we're working heavily on right now are basically user reporting and user controls within our system, and Dispo. And Dispo is our next big hurdle. So it's neat that you guys have that coming out, because that's I have a feeling there's going to be some synergy there on our back end with our Dispo process within the system, and what you guys have to offer to really, I think, throw some fuel on the fire there and get some people excited. So very cool.
It's very exciting.
I love the video interface thing too, because I mean, that's right now, especially with COVID, look, we've closed everything over the phone for years. And with COVID, it forced a lot of people to close everything over the phone. And one of the things that our team would do would be to FaceTime a seller, you know, and have them walk through a property. So to be able to do that within the system and have that capture into the lead is a game changer. I just want to throw that out there.
Well, I'm excited by it. And I'm particularly excited that it's going to be fully integrated into the mobile app. Because it's one thing to be, you know, sitting at the desktop and having the screen open and being able to do that. That's great. But let's be honest, a huge amount of investors, particularly if they've, you know, if they're starting out, or if they've got a smaller team, or it's their team that are doing the sales calls, et cetera, huge amount of them are on the move all the time. And the fact that with the mobile app our mobile app being fully synced in with Forefront means not only in a traditional sense, you know, someone calls in, you see who they are. Oh, great, fantastic. I can answer it. The call's logged in Forefront. You call out, you can just go into smartphone, find the person you want to call, boom, everything's logged, the recordings, the call status is in Forefront. Same with text messages, same with voicemail. But imagine then to be able to do that with video as well, seamlessly, with no friction to the seller, because you literally just send them a text, they click a link, they pop on, and everything will be fully available inside your CRM. I think it's a really exciting thing. And I think the mobile app is one of the things, because it's so fully synced with Forefront, gives huge flexibility and power to a lot of teams.
I agree. And I'm excited to see it happen. So very cool. Well, like I said, I mean, I'm excited about the relationship. I'm excited about the things that we all have coming forward. I think that with this partnership, people are going to be able to make a lot of money and I can't wait to see the checks when they do it. So, our mission at Forefront is to make sure that we absolutely continue to innovate and provide tools. I know your mission at Smartphone is the same thing. And I think that the future is bright on both sides when it comes to what we have moving forward. So.
Well, at this time in the webinar, one of the things we always like to do is make sure we give anybody on here a chance to ask any questions, because otherwise it's just Dawn and I talking. And well, of course, I enjoy talking with Dawn. It's not really fair to the people who may actually have questions. So, what I would like to do right now is open it up. If anybody has any questions, I think we've got a chat that
So we've got Q&A. We've had a couple. Hi, everybody. I'm Ellen. I'm the CMO of Smartphone. So we had a couple questions. Go through the Q&A. Let's just say them out loud. So the first one is, how do you handle call recordings? Is that automatically enabled? So that's a question really for you, Jordan. How does call recording work inside of Smartphone?
Sure. So inside of Smartphone, you are able to. What we have a very comprehensive call flow management inside of Smartphone. And what call flows really mean is, what happens if someone calls in? What do you want your phone system to do, right? Do you want it to call this group of people in a round robin? And if nobody answers, go to an external call center? Or do like how is it being routed? What is it doing? And of course, one of the options that you have is you have the ability to turn on recording, so that on some lines you can have it, phone flows, you can have it not on, and some you can have it on, depending if you've got some certain phone numbers you don't want to have happen. And of course, you also have the ability on an outbound point of view to turn call recording on and off. One thing I will say is you don't have the ability on a call to toggle back and forth. It's something that we look at occasionally. It's not really a hugely requested feature, but at the moment it's sort of an on and off state. It's either on and enabled, or it's off. You can't toggle it as you go.
Great. And then sounds like somebody's very excited about Forefront and wanted to know, what do they do if they have a different CRM and are interested in switching to Forefront, but they want to keep their Smartphone account?
I'll answer from the Smartphone side. We do have the ability. So if you are a Smartphone user already, great, thank you. And we do have the ability very easily to essentially unplug from your existing CRM and plug into Forefront. I will say that will essentially route all future traffic into Forefront, but what we don't do is take any data you have in your existing CRM and transfer it over. We're not the data recording, in terms of whatever CRM you're using now, we can't control what's in there. All we do is unplug and plug it back into Forefront, but it's seamless. It's super easy, super quick, and super painless.
And just from personal experience, it does transfer all your numbers come with it. Your users come with it. It all does transfer seamlessly. So yeah,
it just doesn't take data from your existing CRM and move it to Forefront. That's not something.
And when you say data, you mean the leads and stuff that are in your
or the
CRM.
call logs that's inside whatever CRM. The good news
Right.
is your Smartphone account stays the same, so everything's there. Your users, your call flows, your numbers, all the history you've built up in Smartphone is still in Smartphone. It's just we don't take it from your old CRM where we've logged it and push historical stuff into Forefront.
Yeah.
Great.
And from personal. I would say, for personal experience, you can't run both CRMs at the same time, just so you know. It's either one or the other.
Yes,
So, yeah.
Smartphone connects to one
Yeah.
at a time. This one is for Maria. Maria, would you mind resharing your screen and showing how texting from inside of Forefront, what that looks like?
Mm-hmm. Yes. So if you are inside the pipeline and you want to send a text message to a contact, just go to, let's say, this person. And then, of course, you have the click to call and the click to call activated or installed to your browser. We have this SMS or text icon here, right beside this call button here. Just click on that one, select a specific number. Then you can select from your phone number, and then you can send your message here and then click on send text. And then this actual message will be recorded inside the comms as well. So if you go back to the comms, as you can see, this one will show as outbound text. And then I can review that by clicking on the record, and then it will show the actual message that you sent to the lead.
Awesome.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Jordan, I feel like this one was tailor-made for you. Can you talk a little bit about whether smartphone and Forefront work in Canada? And if there's any particular privacy laws you need to know about?
That seems unfair to tailor that to me, but
You're Canadian. What the heck?
I've lived in Europe for 25 years, but no.
Okay.
Yes. So smartphone actually works in, I'm not entirely sure how many countries at this point. Many, like most. But it does work in Canada. But you do, so for instance, compliance wise, in the US, you've got very specific compliance rules around both voice calling in terms of DNC protocols, when you're allowed to make calls, stir shaken, which is a verified voice calling. And you also have a lot of compliance or structure around text messaging as well, in terms of how long you're allowed to text someone if they're not communicating back, and what's called A2P 10DLC, which is a US carrier initiative that is essentially aimed at making sure that it can verify who's sending a text inside the US. And by the way, just as a side note, if you are in the US and you are sending texts, you have until the end of August to be fully A2P 10DLC compliant before text messaging gets shut off for people who are not compliant. So as an aside, if you are doing that and you haven't done it, do it. Do it now, do it tomorrow, do it tonight, whatever. In terms of Canada, Canada does have specific regulations around, there are actually specific Canada CAN-SPAM regulations for email and for calling and texting. I will put my hand out and say I'm not as familiar with them. I do know that Canada is working on its version of A2P 10DLC right now. And so I suspect you should, if you are in Canada, of course you can use smartphone and Forefront, but do know that legislation and compliance is tightening around the world. And I suspect Canada is going to follow the US in both the stir shaken and A2P frameworks.
And then we had a question in here that said, can you please recap features? This is Oscar. I don't know if you want to come online. You're welcome to raise your hand and we can do that, but I'll read it out loud for now. Can you please recap the features directly related to Dispo? I'm the Dispo manager for my company. I'm looking for more options with responding and communicating with buyers and tracking it. So I get a large number of communications on any given day. And also when and how do I implement this into my current environment? So
Don, do you want to start with the Dispo elements of Forefront?
Well, I will be the first one to say that at this time, Dispo as an individual unit within Forefront is something that is not available. We are working on that right now. You still can Dispo deals within Forefront. It will track conversations and leads and will track conversations with contacts. But to have it be its own kind of segmented tracking with KPIs and that kind of stuff, we're not there yet. We're a few months away. So I'm more than happy to get the team to go through what we are capable of, and it may meet your needs right now. Or you can also work with us to help us and be part of our prototyping as far as what you are looking for. If there's not something else out there, then since we are working on that right now, we could probably build some things out that will suit your needs that you won't find anywhere else. So
I'm really excited about the Dispo stuff you're working on right now. I'm super excited about that because, Dispo is an underappreciated side of the whole process. Everybody talks all the time about filling the lead bucket. Like, got to get pipelining, got to get leads, but it means nothing if you can't convert those leads and make money off them. And the disposition is where you're going to make all your cash. From a smartphone perspective, obviously, the great thing is, there are two great things. Number one, because we're fully integrated with Forefront, you know, as Don said, any contacts, any communications you're having are going to be pushed right in. And so you've got that seamless element. As I say, when I talk to people about disposition using smartphone, there are two kind of big things that come away with. Number one, of course, just being able to, or three big things. One, just logging the calls, texts, etc. Two, the ability to use Smart Dialer to potentially, reach out to a list of their buyers if they've got a hot deal. Because one of the things I've noticed is, when you've got a hot deal, you want to really hyper target the buyers who are likely to buy that property. You don't want to waste time, blasting out to people who aren't likely to buy. You go right after it. And so I have seen people, upload very specific buyer lists into Smart Dialer so that they can rapidly call them when they've got a hot deal. And that works really well. And then, of course, the final bit is we've got a beta product that is absolutely designed for the disposition process in broadcast, where you will be able to, in an A2P 10DLC compliant way, load up buyers lists, get them to opt into receiving text messages, and then bulk message them when you've got a hot property, and you're doing it in a compliant way, which is tailor-made for disposition.
What's the ETA for the beta product, do you think, as far as
the beta's live? The beta is live. We've got a very small beta group. I can probably add one or two more people, and that's it, because we don't like to have big beta groups that are uncontrolled. But the beta group is live. We are going through the process of setting it up with them now so that we can understand the good, the bad, the ugly, how we can improve it. And then once we've gone through the beta process, which I assume will take probably a month and a half, 2 months, potentially, we are going to be looking to launch that product out to everybody who wants it.
So about three or 4 months. And that's about our timeline, our timeline as well. The way I put it is there's a handful of things that we're working on when it comes to like the dispo process, KPI reporting, user reporting. Like if you have a lead manager versus an acquisitions manager, like being able to see their stats and data more clearly in our system. We have some KPI stuff there, but more clearly per role, and then some role permissions that we're working on. And our ETA is the end of the year. Like most of this stuff we'll probably have done September, October, in that time frame. But we're, end of the year is an easy way to just kind of put a timeline on the things that we're doing. We have, I would say, off the top of my head, 4 major projects that I feel like are going to fundamentally change the system in a way that'll make what everybody's doing a lot easier and a lot easier to make money. And in the end of the year is a good time frame to kind of put on that. So, but some of those things will come out beforehand. So I think we're kind of in line with you guys. I think you guys will come out about the same time we're ready to plug you in and see how it works together.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome. The next question has 2 parts. I'm actually going to take the second part first because it's sort of related to texting. Does smartphone have a text campaign capability and the ability to schedule texts for specific dates and times?
So as a core, this is where I suddenly got scared, and I'm racking my brains about it. As a core functionality, no. Number one, because there are if you're not using it in a compliant way, you've got to be very careful around things like that. We are looking at certain elements around scheduling, but that is been built into broadcast. So for instance, for the buyers, where you are pushing out a bulk message to the disposition to your buyer list, there is scheduling for that. So you'll be able to, and actually, as an aside to that, one of the powerful things about broadcast is you're able to bring in different sources of buyers, say you've got them from different locations or you got different lists, whatever. But one of the features of broadcast is your ability to create different texting lists. And what that means is you can take all your buyers and then you can filter that down and say, only give me a list of the buyers who are in this area or who like this type of property or this price range, right? And that makes sure that when you schedule your kind of your pushes, your market, your disposition pushes from a text message point of view to your buyers, you're able to hyper target that as well. Not only can you schedule it, but you can schedule it into a very, very specific list so that you know you're texting the right people. Because I personally would rather text 300 people who I know are interested in that location, at that price range, in that property type, than I would send a text to 20,000 people who 19,000 of them don't even want to go in that area. Why are you spending the money on 19,000 texts, right? So that's another feature of broadcast, is the ability to schedule, but the ability to focus that as well.
I will also say that, yeah, if it becomes something, as the integration with Forefront continues to evolve and add more features and functionality, there is the opportunity to create that we could come up with ideas of automations when something moves from one stage to the next, then it triggers a message, things like that. So there's some texting automation that I know we have the ability to on our side. We would just need to work with the Forefront team to figure out when or why and how we would want to program that kind of stuff in. So certainly automated texting is something that's possible. We would just need to map it out.
We have some of those automations in our system. So, and when we talk about follow-up drip campaigns and different things like that. So when something moves from one stage to the next, or you initiate an automated campaign, there is some email sequences and text sequences that go out on certain timed intervals. And those, from short-term follow-up to long-term follow-up that are built into the system. Obviously, we're working to make sure that we stay within compliance and those kind of things. But they are there to be used by the user as part of the system. I'm a firm believer in having automations in your follow-up. If somebody's reached out to you and they've had interest in having a conversation with you and they've opted in, there's got to be a balance between personal outreach and personally having a conversation with those sellers and the automations as well, the email sequences and text campaigns, and used in tandem. It's a great resource for closing deals. So, and those things are in the Forefront system that we just trigger that in SmartPhone to happen. So
awesome.
And then the first part of the question was, does SmartPhone have a power dialer as well? We've made mention of Smart Dialer several times, so we should probably say yes.
Yeah, we do. We have a single and multi-line dialer. The single line dialer is $50 a month per seat, and the multi-line dialer is $90 a month per seat. Obviously, with the multi-line dialer, you can dial up to 4 lines at once. I know there are times when people have come to me and asked, can we dial 20 at once? Well, if you're dialing 20 at once, you've either got a really bad list, and you're going to have problems that way. The truth of the matter is the dialer is there, a dialing capability is there to be the most efficient way of working your way through a list of people. And you want to do that in a way that actually connects your agents to people, not just incessantly dials people. But the smart dialer is a phenomenal addition to SmartPhone. And one of the things that we do with our integration with Forefront is obviously you can upload lists directly into smart dialer, and then you're able to actually push a lead into Forefront once you have got confirmed, you've qualified that lead. And I really believe that's important, because for me, keeping your data inside your CRM, inside of Forefront clean, means that you're able to make good decisions. But I definitely recommend checking out Smart Dialer if you're interested.
Well, that is the end of our questions that are live right now that we've seen in the Q&A section. If anybody else has one, you are welcome to type it. But if you want to just raise your hand, we can then invite you on live and you can ask it that way.
See if we have a shy audience or not. I don't want to sound like I'm saying this to say it. This is actually the truth when I say it. We were utilizing a different dialer, and we were dialing out, and our callers working 8 hours a day, and they were only hitting a certain threshold of dials a day. And we went back to that dialer multiple times trying to figure out what what the issue was, why we weren't achieving the number of dials a day that we needed to achieve that made sense for that seat, right? And out of frustration, we ended up moving over to the smart dialer, and ultimately we 3x'd the amount of dials a day, actually almost 4x the amount of dials a day out that we were getting per seat. And so and that's, when things aren't working right, that makes a huge difference in your business. Like if you're on a phone system where you have lag in the call and you're stepping on each other, you can't negotiate properly, that hurts your business. When we're not getting dials out per day, that hurts your business. So, when all things are working right and you're able to make money, it's huge. And so our personal experience as an organization with smartphone has always been, a good experience. And like I said, I'm not just saying it to say it. It's we've used smartphone for 5 years, and there's reasons why. So,
love to hear it. Thank you. We did get a new question. Same person who was asking before about how do you leave an existing CRM, keep your smartphone account and bring it over to Forefront, and was curious about Forefront pricing. On Forefront pricing.
Oh, Forefront pricing. No, okay, yeah. That for me, I heard smartphone pricing. So Forefront has 3 different plans. We have a starter plan for $99, which is a great plan to start with if you are somebody on the newer side of the business, and it has pretty much everything you need to run your business. If you're looking for more features, then we have a pro plan for $199. And that pro plan has all kinds of really cool things, from advanced automations, automated follow-up campaigns, unlimited lead sources, advanced property data, you name it, advanced KPI recording, team member task management. I mean, I can go on and on and on about all the cool stuff that has. And then if you're really a beast of an organization, this is really more for organizations that have a lot of users and a lot of data, then our elite plan is $299. So, we're priced, we did a lot of research and we're priced extremely competitively, and we're always working hard to provide way more value so that we become a no-brainer as we go along. So our starter plan, though, for somebody brand new would be $99.
Great. Anybody else? We had a question, but Babe answered it. It was a question about when you get inbound text messages, where do they go? So they come into the inbox and you get the notification just like you do with other inbound communications. So that was already answered.
And I'll throw one out there. If anybody on here that has not a Forefront user that wants to go ahead and sign up for Forefront, if you use Flip 75 at checkout, you get 75% off your first month. So we'll just throw it out there to check us out and, and see if you love us. I know you will.
And actually, as a Forefront user, if you are interested in trying smartphone out with Forefront, we have a code as well, which I'm sure Ellen is going to look up and post into the thing.
I'm pretty sure it's Forefront 30, but it's 30% off for 3 months. But I have to.
And works with both smartphone and smart dialer. So you can get 30% off for 3 months of both products, which means you can really get 3 months to make sure you can get it off the ground and working as best as possible for you.
Yes, I was correct. It is Forefront 30. Okay, so smartphone 30% off for 3 months. Oops.
Okay.
Forefront 30.
It doesn't sound like we've got any more questions. Are we?
Oh my God. Nope, I don't see any more questions coming in. But everybody, if you do have questions in the future, please know that our support is available from smartphone. You can do it if you have an account. You can do it from your mobile app. You can do it from the web app, or you can do it from just smartphone.io. You're welcome to come in. We are here 12 hours a day, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. on weekdays, so Monday through Friday. If you have any other questions that come to mind about smartphone, smart dialer, about the future of broadcast, all of those things, please don't hesitate to reach out. We are there. Our support team has, an answer. Our current answer rate's like 1 minute. So we really are there. less than 1 minute, and they compete on that. So it keeps getting better. And so we really pride ourselves in that. You're not going to fill out a form and have it disappear into the ether and hope you hear back in 2 weeks. Like, we are there. We want to hear from you. We want to help you out. So if you have additional questions and they pop up later, let us know.
Yeah, let me just add that our support team has got a really good relationship with smartphone support team as well. So if you're a Forefront user and you're having any challenges within the system, make sure you're checking with our support team. They may have the answer for you before you even have to go to smartphone. And if you don't, they'll definitely help point you in the right direction or even reach out for you on your behalf. So on both sides, we're going to work very hard to make sure this is a good transition, a good relationship, and that you are happy at the end of the day getting what you need. So.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I want to thank everybody who came on tonight. I want to thank Maria for popping on with us and helping to show the connection between smartphone and Forefront, and of course Ellen for hosting and for helping us out with explanations and with the questions. And finally, of course, Don. I've known Don now for probably about a year when we first met, and it's always a pleasure to get a chance to chat with you. And I'm so excited about the integration between smartphone and Forefront and what we can build together. So thank you for coming on tonight, and thank you for the continued partnership.
Likewise, I can't wait to see what we do together.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, thanks, everybody.
Yeah.